Hi everyone, how you all doing? Welcome to Newcastle United training ground, complete with their new signage right at the front door, just so we all know where we're going in the morning for Eddie Howe's early press conferences. Hopefully that's not made much of a dent in the PSR resources. That's a joke, by the way. I know it doesn't count. But yeah, Eddie Howe been speaking this morning, and lots of questions fielded to him on the back of Yasser Al-Rumayyan's weekend visit. Of course, there was a delegation from the PIF in the northeast. They stayed overnight on Sunday night into yesterday, where there was, according to Eddie Howe, a number of board meetings held. Eddie said that he was involved in a few of them himself, without being involved in all of them, and he's not allowed to say exactly what was said, but his take from it was that the club still have the drive and passion and ambition to get to the top, and he said he was very pleased with what he heard. So good news coming out of those meetings. But also there was a warning from Eddie Howe that the club needs to improve, drastically improve, in his words, in all areas of the club, if they are to get to the top, if they are to compete both on and off the pitch with the likes of Liverpool and Manchester City and Chelsea. And Eddie made that point very clear. He said, look, I can't put a date on it, but the ambition absolutely is to get to the top. We can get there, but we need to be innovative. We need to be, we need to have clever thinking. We need to work really, really hard in every single department of the football club if we are to get to the top. And look, it's a message that he has delivered before, but I think he's delivered that message with one eye on the transfer window. And he agreed that without doubt, over the last 3 transfer windows, the last 12 months, the football side of things has stood still. The club have taken a bit of a hit, but he said it was necessary, and it's nobody's fault. It's just what happened, and they've had to ride that through. I get the impression the way he's talking, though, that and he's kind of hinted at it the last couple of press conferences, that the summer will be a big one and Newcastle will have funds to spend. And look, Yasser Al-Rumayyan will have seen that himself on Sunday, that the club is without doubt, the team is in need of help. Yes, they blew Forest away in that first half, but in the second half they were really poor, and we saw, as Eddie Howe said afterwards, the best and the worst of Newcastle in the one afternoon, in the 190 minutes. And Al-Rumayyan sat and watched that performance himself. Eddie Howe said he was happy afterwards, he was pleased that they won, but he'll be aware that the club does need, or that the team, should I say, does need fresh investment and new faces, and I think those will follow in the summer. And I think that was probably one of the main talking points, certainly from Eddie Howe's point of view, at the board meetings over the course of the last 48 hours. Of course, the new stadium, the new training ground will have been high up there. I'd imagine the stadium would have been the main talking point. It'll be interesting to see what comes out of that. But look, a busy weekend for everyone at Matfin Hall. Is the place wasn't closed off so much, but there's high levels of security there due to the fact that the PIF delegation were there, and that was the chosen destination or location, should I say, for the meetings that took place over the course of Sunday and into Monday. So let's see what comes out of that in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, Eddie Howe, it felt like he didn't want to talk about it too much, but it felt like he had a smile on his face, and he seemed to be quite content with what he heard. And he said he had a variety of conversations with Al-Rumayyan. And yeah, so if the manager's happy, you would suggest everyone else should be happy as well. Now, ahead of tomorrow's visit to Liverpool, of course, Newcastle have got a horrendous record there. Guys don't need me reminding you of this. Only one win in the Premier League era at Liverpool, way back in 1994, a 2-0 win thanks to goals from Andy Cole and Rob Lee. Newcastle have yet to win since that day. So over 30 years since they won in the Premier League. Of course, it was the Premiership back then. Shows how long ago it was. 28 attempts. It's about time Newcastle went down there and won, but they're going to have to do it against a Liverpool side who are 11 points clear at the top of the table. They've got Mo Salah scoring for fun, and it's as difficult a task as they're going to get on a Wednesday night. Of course, the thing that adds more spice to this is Newcastle play Liverpool in a couple of weeks' time in the Carabao Cup final as well. So it'll be interesting to see what team Eddie Howe puts out. He said today that Sven Botman is very close to being involved. He said he's improving very, very quickly. So it sounds as though he could be involved, and I think if he is available, I think Eddie will go back to the back three that served him so well against Arsenal in the Carabao Cup semi-final second leg, and he'll play him in there alongside Dan Burn and Fabian Schär, which would mean one of the three midfielders miss out. Now whether that is Sandro Tonali again like Sunday or Lewis Miley, we'll wait and see, but I would imagine Tonali will come back in and start the game alongside Bruno Guimaraes in midfield, and I think they'll try and do a job on Liverpool on Wednesday night like they did on Arsenal at St James's Park. But it's a very different game away from home against a team who are flying. Of course Arsenal weren't flying, and it was at St James's Park, and it was an amazing atmosphere that night. So yeah, look, it's going to be a difficult night, a really, really difficult night for Newcastle. Let's see how they go. But look, the crucial thing was, I think, and I'm not giving away tomorrow night, but I just think getting that win against Nottingham Forest gets you back up there into that top 5, level with Man City on points. And I think if you just lost that, you'd have dropped 9 points behind Nottingham Forest. It was going to be a real mountain to climb, and I think that was one of the most crucial 3 points of the season, whereas not many people are expecting Newcastle to do anything due to that record and due to the fact Liverpool are flying. So anything I think from the game would be a bonus. So back to Botman, it sounds as though he will be involved. I think if he's available, I think he starts. He said Joe Linton is close, but he didn't say very close, so it sounds as though Joe Linton will probably miss out and be back for the Brighton game in the Cup on Sunday. It'll be a good game to bring him back in for. But it just generally feels like things are getting better in the injury situation. Barnes back and Wilson back, and although they've got a bit to go until they're back to full fitness, you'd like to think they'll be back to full fitness come the final. You're going to have Botman back hopefully tomorrow night, Joe Linton back at the weekend, and if touch wood you manage to keep everyone else fit, things are looking quite good going into the final. I don't want to jinx it because I know there's a lot of time to go until then, but it feels like Eddie Howe at the moment has real options, and the likes of Lewis Miley, who came in and did so well on Sunday, looks a different player. He's grown into a man, and it looks like he's going to be really pushing the likes of Bruno, Tonali, Joe Willock for a place in the weeks ahead. So that all bodes well, I have to say, because it's been a while since they were in that position, and it's fortunate because due to the players being sold, Kelly and Almiron going in January, the squad being reduced in numbers, he really needs everyone fit and available. I think he can carry probably 2 or 3 injuries, but if you start getting 4, 5, 6 injuries, you're in a bit of bother. So good news on that front, that Botman and Joe Linton look like they're going to be back in time for the Cup final, and hopefully gives Eddie Howe a bit of a headache come Wembley in 2.5, just under 3 weeks time. A really other interesting line from the press conference today. Of course, we saw Nick Pope return on Sunday. He'll have been disappointed with his position at the first goal, and he'll be disappointed at conceding 3. I know what he's like, but Eddie said, I wanted to get him back into the team. We'll need him over the weeks ahead, and I think he's probably just wanted to get him back in ahead of the Cup final. I think if he left it a couple more games, does he give him enough games to get match fit? I did expect him to come back in before the final. I've got to say, I didn't think it would be as soon as Sunday against Forest. I thought he might have waited until maybe Brighton next weekend, but as Eddie said in his press conference this morning, he said to be a football manager, you're not a popular person, you need to accept that you're not going to be popular, you need to make these big decisions, and that's why he's decided to get Nick Pope in, I think with the Cup final in mind in a few weeks time. He wants him back in the team, despite the fact that Dubravka had been doing a decent job. So yeah, but the interesting line from Eddie this morning was, he said that Nick Pope in his mind is one of the, if not the best shot stopper in the Premier League, and that's why I wanted to get back into his team. And although he didn't prove it on Sunday, look, I think you've got to cut him a bit of slack, because he's easing himself back into things. He's been out for a fairly substantial period of time, and I think we all know that Nick Pope on his day is a fantastic goalkeeper who can make some world-class game-saving saves. And if he's fit, he will play in the Cup final against Liverpool in a couple of weeks' time. So yeah, let's see how tomorrow goes, guys. But that all felt very positive from what Eddie said. Although he said things need to drastically improve across the board at the football club for Newcastle to compete with the likes of Liverpool long term, and he knows there's a lot of work to be done. He says, look, we can't just think it, we need to do it. Although he said all that, and that sounded a little bit like they were still far away, and of course we all know they are far, we all know that you're far away. The fact that he said that the conversations were positive, and he said that there was a real feeling that he took away from it, that the club still have that ambition to reach the top. And I think there's that worry from a couple of people that maybe because they've stalled, do the Saudis have the ambition that the fans do? From the way Eddie Howe was speaking this morning, they absolutely do. So that's it from me, guys. Subscribe if you haven't done already. Leave your comments below. I'll check them out later on, and I'll speak to you after Liverpool. Cheers now. Bye bye.